This week, we are discussing the Black Blockchain Summit in Washington, D.C., and featured online this year on September 24th and 25th. I'm joined now by Sinclair Skinner, CEO of BillMari and organizer of the Black Blockchain Summit, and Cleve Mesidor, the head of the National Policy Network of Women of Color in Blockchain and a 2021 keynote speaker. Welcome to the show, guys.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. I should say welcome back to the show. We have had you before for the inaugural episode, so glad to have you both back. And let's kick it off with you, Sinclair. How did the idea for the conference start, and how many years ago, and what was the thinking behind it when you started it?
We were sick and tired of being sick and tired, and so we said we're going to do our own thing, and so we did our own thing. And I think the first conference I went to was in Amsterdam. The Bitcoin Foundation had an event, and I met a brother, John Karanja, and Ala Kanani, they call it the Bitcoin lady. And there was a total of about 8 Black people at that event. 5 of them were serving and 3 of us who were actually attending. And from that moment on, I realized that contextually, if we want to create an environment that's most advantageous for our participation, we're going to create it ourselves. I think this space has been super great, but there's a lack of maturity, lack of sophistication socially with many of these technologists. And we're not here to raise people's children anymore. If your children are going to be foolish acting, we'll see them in the marketplace and whip their behind.
Oh, yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that about the technologist part. Sometimes it does get lost in the crypto industry. The fact that you're really smart, but you can't really connect with everybody and make it mainstream without different communities. So that's why we build our own. And Cleve, you've been to, I believe, all of the Black Blockchain Summit so far. What has been your experience at the summit? And as far as being a speaker, what are some of the things that you've seen that have created the Black Blockchain Summit?
Yeah, first I want to commend Sinclair and his team for putting this together and putting it together at our alma mater, Howard, HU. And so it's been a great opportunity for thought leadership. Obviously, those of us in the crypto space, we're passionate, we're engaged, we're part of different communities, but the Black Blockchain Summit is an opportunity for us to have conversations that are not being covered in mainstream crypto, if I can use that term. So, and even for me, from a policy side, there are conversations that Black innovators in crypto are uniquely positioned to have when it comes to regulatory policy. So I think, it's a wonderful conference, a great opportunity to network and connect with other people who look like you in this space.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And Sinclair, I want to throw this to you. What do you say to the people who say, hey, a Black Blockchain Summit, what if I had a white blockchain summit? What do you say to those people?
I don't talk to them people. That's for somebody else. My patience is bad. If I got to explain racism 500 years to you, that you probably... There's levels to this. So somebody needs to that's prepared and has the patience to suffer that type of foolishness. They need them. What my focus is at 52 years old with a limited time, and so many of friends have passed away due to COVID and a whole host of situations that occurred. I'm focused on the folks who understand and are ready to go and are looking for an opportunity. No longer, and we shouldn't suffer those things. At the end of the day, an adult person who's made it to this age with that mindset, I say God bless them. I think there's people probably who are better than me. But for me, the people who are trying to figure out how to get engaged and be their full person in this space, that's my focus. Those other folks, I promise you, I block them, I delete them, I hit them with an elbow, whatever it takes to get them out of the way. That's what we should do with them. No more. No, listen, we only got one life, and you're going to suffer somebody talking, well, by the way. Man, please, I wish you would.
Can I add something to that?
Yes, absolutely.
And there's so many conferences where you are the only Black person there. So, I don't know if that argument actually stands. But also, when it comes to this whole conversation about why is a Black Blockchain Summit necessary, Because the marketplace is browner. When you look at America's, demographics, when you look at the marketplace, when you look at who the private sector is listening to right now, it's a browner, younger demographic that actually has a disposable income. So for those people in the crypto community who wonder why they have, we have a Black Blockchain Summit, well, they should question their longevity in this space.
Yes, absolutely. And you have to remember, this is a global cryptocurrency, technology, fintech movement. This is not just in America. And even though the demographics may be lower here in the Black community, if you think about the whole world, it's actually more. And I think you do a great job of that, Sinclair, at the summit. Tell us a little bit about some of the countries that you have, or some of the people that come from the different countries that come to the summit in DC. Tell us a few of those and, some of their missions.
Yeah, I think that's one of the parts that's key. And that's why, again, even both of you being able to see that this is a global space and y'all, in both of y'all's work, being able to reach out to our greater community. And I think both of y'all have definitely more patience than me. So the fact that you guys have been able to be diplomatic with those who may not necessarily show us the same level of diplomacy, I think I respect that. We have folks literally from Zimbabwe, Kenya, Philippines, literally all over the world, El Salvador.
The Caribbean.
The Caribbean, absolutely, humbly, with the utmost humility. God bless them. And we all both stopped from being Caribbean. I need to do better. So with that being said, that's why you go to many conferences, they'll talk about places and they'll make it seem like these places are on Mars. Oh, we're going to have a discussion. And they're like Negroologists who studied Black or studied that. No, we can actually have somebody from that place have a conversation about it. There was an issue with Puerto Rico and how there was crypto being used to take advantage in crypto colonialism. Well, we had the twins come from the Puerto Rico and they talked about it. Like the issue of El Salvador, we don't need just, we can have a dialogue, but we're going to have folks from El Salvador saying what they think. Zimbabwe, they would always talk about the dollar and what's going on there. We have Zimbabweans. We got to stop. It's just like when you watch Afghanistan, they talk about Afghanistan war, and all you see old white men. I'm like, and this is tough. Like your narrative is always going to be wrong. It'll be another 20 years of bad, wrong narratives until we really get all the brains in the room to be a part of this. So I don't do it out of the sense of, so I feel sorry for anybody. This is about, ownership. Like we have a voice. It's legitimate. It's amazing. And it's missing. If 4 old white men could fix this, we wouldn't have global warming. We wouldn't have pollution. We wouldn't have wealth disparity. We wouldn't have women being harmed like they are. There'd be a whole bunch. If this thing worked, if white supremacy ideology worked, we might not complain. But it's failed. It's a horrible failure. And we need to save these folks. Everybody. That's everybody.
Oh, yeah. And Cleve, jump in there. What other places have you seen that go along with Sinclair's point that to diversify, we need other countries? What other countries have you seen at the conference so far?
Yeah, so I'm always representing Haiti at the conference. As I mentioned, the Caribbean is leading in this space. When you look at the Bahamas last year, became the first nation with a central bank digital currency. Bermuda, its premier, was one of the first folks going to Davos talking about, blockchain. And Bermuda has created a regulatory sandbox where a lot of blockchain companies now have their headquarters. So when you look at there's a lot happening in Latin America, but there's a lot happening in the Caribbean. Just last week, I partnered with the Blockchain Association and the Embassy of Haiti in DC to host their first conversation about blockchain. And most people don't know, Haiti actually is talking about a CBDC and is planning to draft an RFP in the coming months.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And it's moving really fast too. The development, the infrastructure, we saw it, start, 3 years ago at the conference. I met people from the Caribbean and they were like, well, we're just getting started, to now. I mean, it's taken off, definitely. So, and, Sinclair, I want you to speak about the conference this year. What can we expect at the conference? Who's some of the keynote speakers? What are some of the topics that will be there as well?
I think the biggest thing this year that I must say is that we originally had planned a hybrid conference where we had folks that could actually come in person as well as a virtual. But due to the issues of health, and I think we would be remiss in this era of the pandemic not to talk about so many of us having friends and family who've lost their lives under this plague. And so what we didn't want to do is we only got, we want more, but we have a few wonderful Black folks in the crypto space. Now, we do not want to put them in jeopardy and put them in a situation where y'all was inside a building for 8 hours, breathing in who knows what. And then I'm not going to say the FBI, but somebody slip or something. We don't want nothing weird happening. So we said is that we're going to literally have an event that's virtual. Our speakers will not be through peer pressure, because so many people believe in this thing in a way that they would push the envelope. We respect all of y'all. Like, without the us that makes this conference amazing is that respect for us to be able to come back another year and to continue to have our family. Like, you just had a baby. Like, we literally want our health and our families to be amazing. Blockchain's definitely subordinate to that. Or the reason why we're in the blockchain is because of our family and our health and the welfare of our community. So to try to create an environment where everybody can participate as best they can. The Saturday is going to be a live streaming. So last year we did all pre-recording. This year it's going to be live streaming, so we can have more interaction with people in the live space, and that gives you more of opportunity for the questions and engagement. And because we've changed it to the virtual, we're looking at doing a blockchain Sunday school. We talked to Brother BillMari. He's a good brother and a very faithful brother. So we were trying to kind of take play on Sunday school and like a blockchain Sunday school to focus more on the how-to of Bitcoin. On Saturday, our focus is a lot on some of the details and the decentralized spaces, NFT spaces, and some of the applications of blockchain beyond just the conversations that we typically have about the price and the rise and fall. And then for many of our normal engagement who are outside of the United States with this plague that we're in, to access the visas and the difficulties. And again, we don't talk about the global racism, but literally having that American passport, we can go there, but their access to us is not there. And these are injustices that we haven't figured out yet, but we still can figure out a way for folks to participate. So we try to make sure that that's what we did for the people who could not make it physically in other countries.
Oh, yeah. Sounds beautiful. And I know we have a lot of great speakers this year. I'll be speaking myself, full disclosure. And Cleve, could you speak to some of the women that will be speaking? It's a number of women in the space, and it's great to see in the conference. So are there women who are part of the conference that you are planning to see there and speak with?
Yes. So this conference is so great just because of that. I was a presidential appointee in the Obama administration, and I remember, believe it or not, there weren't that many of us. And I remember we would have these gatherings because we never wanted to be in a room and not know one of us were there. And so this conference gives us this opportunity that we know the other Black leaders, these dynamic industry leaders who are there. And I'm excited to see people like Tavonia Evans, Deirdre McIntyre, Maureen Murat, folks who are doing amazing things, just to name a few. And I'm excited to speak about public policy. It's very timely because on the conference is the 24th and the 25th, but on the 27th, the House is going to vote on the infrastructure bill, or is supposed to. And also, Senator Toomey has asked for recommendations for legislation. And the conversations that are being had about, what's the security, right? How should we regulate stablecoins? How should we regulate exchanges are great. But for micro enterprises, innovators of color, we also need to have conversations about financial literacy, access to capital, right? Even consumer protections, because these things impact our communities. So for us, I do want innovators of color. I do want to make sure we're having these conversations, as Black leaders in crypto about what are some of the policy conversations we're uniquely positioned to lead. So I'm excited to have that conversation.